My name is Marni, and it's my job to give you the no BS, honest truth about what women want versus what they say they want. And I put a new video up every Monday, so please keep an eye out for my videos. In this video, I'm going to tell you 5 things you can easily do to be more interesting and how to not be boring. You probably know that one of the biggest mistakes you can make with women is to be boring, and that if your conversation puts her to sleep, she's not going to be sleeping with you. So while it's easy to say, hey, just stop being boring, what does that actually mean in a practical sense? How can you present yourself as an interesting guy that women can't get enough of? Here's where my advice is going to differ from what most male dating coaches will tell you. Their take on it is that you can usually learn some shallow technique to try and fake being interesting. But the problem is, it's only going to take you so far. You might fool someone into thinking you're interesting for an hour or so, but then what happens after that? Do you want to be out on a date feeling like you have to trick someone into thinking you're interesting? I actually have people that I work with who tell me that they used to struggle with this because they would do this and they would resort to things like running to the bathroom every 20 minutes to read a bunch of notes on their phone about what to talk about. To no surprise, they would feel sick with nerves and anxiety because they could never truly relax and be themselves. That's why I teach guys to actually become more interesting instead of just faking it. Not only is it much more effective at getting you what you want with women, but it also leads to you getting more enjoyment out of your life. So the number one thing is change your boring mindset. If you keep thinking you're boring, you'll always be boring. Self-fulfilling prophecy. Right here, right now, I want you to acknowledge that boring is just a state of mind. I mean, how boring is it to constantly think you're boring? Use that brain space to think about other things like you're awesome or you're interesting or you're great in bed. The mind is pretty powerful, trust me. So say it with me right now. Say, I am no longer boring. Instead, I'm the most freaking interesting person in the room. All right, now that we've got a new mindset, we can get the actionable stuff that is really easy to do to guarantee you will never see yourself as boring again. So number 2, try something new every day. You want to know why most people feel boring and bored in their lives? Because they're in zombie auto mode doing the same thing day in and day out. They drink their same coffee before work, then drive the same route, listening to the same radio station, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm even bored right now saying this. So you see where I'm going with this. If you want to snap yourself out of auto mode and be interesting instead of the same old, then switch it up. Drink tea one day or have a shake or matcha, then get in your car and listen to a different podcast or a different radio station. I used to do this thing to challenge myself where I'd try to do my morning routine backwards just to feel something different. It kind of backfired on me with the whole toothbrushing thing, but it definitely made me feel more interesting. Routine is the definition of boring. So switch up your daily routine by doing one new little thing every single day. Then you can talk about it with women. You can talk about it with other people. I myself was always very interested in people that did interesting kind of goofy things. And a guy that does one new thing each day just to keep things fresh is super goofy and totally interesting. Number 3, get out of your comfort zone. If you want women to find you interesting, it helps if you actually lead an interesting life. The more you put yourself out in the world and try different things, the more you'll have cool stuff to talk about. But many guys fall into a routine of doing the same thing day in and day out and getting stuck in their comfort zone, which is really freaking boring. Typically, this will involve going to work, coming home, surfing online, or watching TV, or reading a book. And don't get me wrong, I'm a total web surfer and Netflix junkie, so I'm not knocking your interests. I'm simply telling you that if this is all you do on a weekly basis, it's going to be boring, and your he's interesting level is going to go way down and have you labeled as boring. Truth is, this is what so many single guys do, especially if they're older. And if you do the same thing as everyone else, then by definition, it makes you boring. So you want to make an effort to try new things. Here are a few examples of some of the things my students told me that they've taken up. So adventure travel, mixed martial arts, they tried photography, learning Japanese, a new language, improv comedy, painting, winemaking, singing, skydiving, dancing, Toastmasters, hiking, CrossFit. Do you see how many options there are and how it's limitless? And even if some of the things you try don't end up being good for you, at least you'll be able to talk about them and it will make you more interesting. I tried wine tasting. It was horrible. It's interesting. Number 4, stop trying to blend in. A common trait of boring people is they're afraid of standing out and showing their true personality. This can manifest in a ton of different ways, such as dressing in boring fashion or being afraid to speak up and voice your opinions. But The more that you express your true self, the more interesting you're going to be. Because even though it's a cliche, there really is only one of you in the world and nobody else can offer that. So don't be afraid to talk more and let the world and women see who you truly are and what makes you unique. Side note on that is that when it comes to dating, if you aren't being you on your dates and speaking your mind and having your own take on things, then how the hell is she going to feel any spark with you? That spark comes from when you actually be you and act like you instead of trying to blend in and be like a guy you think she wants to date. Number 5. Become interested in other people. And I know it sounds kind of backwards, but research shows the more genuine interest you show in someone, the more they find you interesting. The key word here is genuine interest. That's because as women, we're good at spotting when a guy is faking interest just because he wants to sleep with us, or when someone is acting interested out of social politeness. A dead giveaway is when you ask a question and when we giving you a meaningful response, you ignore it and then just ask another unrelated question. Instead, you want to follow up and explore what we've given you in a more in-depth discussion. Genuinely be interested in discovering who we are and what makes us special, and you'll immediately be more interesting than the average man. All right, there you go. 5 easy peasy things you can do starting right now to quickly become interesting and avoid being boring. Start trying these 5 things out and you won't have to worry about women finding you boring ever again. Of course, being boring isn't the only thing that'll stop women from dating and sleeping with you. And if you want to avoid all the mistakes that are costing you women, then I have something for you. It's a 45-minute video where I show you how to be one of the rare men that is a master with women without changing a single thing about you. Once you've watched it, I know you'll be eager to put what I've shown you into action immediately. Just click the link below in the description box or go to winggirlmethod.com to watch the video now. Remember, finding the right girl doesn't have to be hard when you understand what women really want. Let me be your wing girl. Please. Go watch my free 45-minute video by going to winggirlmethod.com, and I will see you next Monday.